Maseches Kiddushin, Daf Ches Amud Beis. We are in our Amud Yomi Shiur. Welcome to everybody here. Navas Shalom. Daf Tes Amud Beis. Thank you for the correction. Tes Amud Beis, right? Thank you. Thank you. I apologize. Tes Amud Beis is where we are. Please take your seats. Thank you. And we are Kiddushin Tes Amud Beis, Amud Yomi Shiur. Welcome to people in Torah Anytime on YouTube that watch us and to people in Zoom. We are now learning, we are in the fifth wide line. Line starts with the word ubebia. That's a very easy word to detect. Ubebia mino lan, ubebia. So the third way for a woman to be acquired to her husband is bebia, is when when they have relations, if they do it on purpose of bia, with the purpose of marriage, clearly so, it's one accepted way of becoming married, of the couple becoming a married couple, only if it's done the proper way. Ubebia, minolan. How do you know? How do you know that bia? Where is the source in the Torah that bia can be a way of kiddushin? Amar Biaba, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. It's very important to remember the names. Yeah, this is Rabbi Yochanan here, because we're going to go back and forth to Rabbi Yochanan. So remember the name. Omer Biba, Omer Rabbi Yochanan, the Omer Ko. It says in the pasuk ubeulas baal. Yeah, when the pasuk talks about a woman who's unfortunately unloyal to her husband, yeah, disloyal, then we call her beulas baal, which means what defines her as a married woman. She's beulas baal. She had beila relations with a baal. So you see, melamed shenasa lo baal alidei beila. You see that she, yeah, became his wife. He became her baal, her husband, through beila, which is intimate relations. Now, by the way, there's another pasuk in Chameis ala ishu veibulas baal by Avimelech. Right, but Avimelech, Hashem came to him in a dream and told him the woman that you were with is beulas baal. That's another source. Okay, but however, that's not a good source because he was a ben noyach. That's a different ball game. We're not going there. Amal Rabbi Zer Rabbi Abau. Now Rabbi Abau quoted Rabbi Yochanan, and they're going to be under attack. Amal Rabbi Zer Rabbi Abau. Rabbi Zer now is asking a question from Rabbi Abau. Some say the Rish Lakish addressed Rabbi Yochanan with a question. What's the question? Is it ugly? Ki'ura? The drosha which we already saw before by Rebbe. Rebbe had a different source to tell me that a woman may be niknes bebia ubeolo. Kikach ishisha ubeolo. A man takes a woman and he's boil her. Beila tells me niknes bebia. Is it ugly? What fault did you find with the drosha of Rebbe that you have to come up to me with new svaras and reinvent the wheel, new mekoros, new sources? You're telling me beulas bal. What's wrong with the original makor of Rebbe of kikach ishisha ubeolo? Answers the Gemara, no, there is something wrong with that. Says Rabbi Yochanan and his team. If you only knew it from there, Ava Amina, I would have thought Adam Mekadesh Vadar Boil. I would have thought that, what does it say over there? Kikach ishisha. What does kikach mean? With money. Kikach ishisha, and then ubeolo. I would have thought you need both. I would have thought that Kiddushin, not Chuppah. I would have thought that Kiddushin is a two-stage process. Mekadesh, Kikach ishisha, and then beolo. Kamash Malan comes the Torah and tells me no. The Torah is coming to exclude, to take me out of that mindset and tell me no. The ulas baal means that beila alone is good enough without money to be koine. I wrote kikach ishisha beolo, and achanami kikach isha is with money, and beola we're going to learn for something else. So now let's have the two psukim in mind. The pasuk that Rabbi Yochanan is in favor is beulas baal, because if you don't have beulas baal, had you only have the pasuk of kikach ishisha ubeolo, a man takes a woman and boil her, I would have thought you need both. That is the simple reading of the pasuk. You acquire with money, and that's only 50% there. She's not yet married. And then what? Beolo. Then she's married, Mazel Tov. She's Mekudeshes. Finished. That's what I would have thought. That's what the Torah has to tell me. A different source of Beulas Baal. Okay, very nice. However, Rebbe does hold with what he says. Rebbe holds Kikach Isha Shabola. Now we're talking about Rabbi Yochanan. Maskif Rabbi Abba bar Memel. Oh, here comes the big attack. Rabbi Abba bar Memel is attacking again Rabbi Yochanan. Im ken, according to this, if so, if you entertain such a thought that Kiddushin may be a two-way process, two stages process of money and then Be'ila, if so, Ne'oro ha'moiroso domer rachmono beskila echi mashkachas lo. Now we're going to enter a whole new world over here called Naira Amoroso, and we're going to explain everything and translate everything. I'll translate first, actually. If so, if you want to tell me that every marriage has to have what? Money and then Be'ila, and only once she had relations once with a husband, then she's Mekudeshes. So all women that are married, Mekudeshes, are non-virgins because the husband himself made them a non-virgin, a Be'ula, and only then she's married. That would be very nice, but it's against the Torah. Why? Because in the Torah we see a term called Naira Hamoiroso. What does Naira Hamoiroso mean? Usually, a woman, in I would say 99% of cases, and I'm leaving behind Bas Kohen, that's a different story. Most women and their lo aleinu chas v'shalom, the friend of the woman, the other man that has relations with a married woman. What's the punishment for a married woman and her boil? It is chenek. Most cases it's chenek, strangulation, yeah? Except for naira moirosa, which is beskila. Skila is a worse, more severe punishment by skila, yeah, that they make her jump off a building, yeah, they throw her off a building. And there, and him too, the friend. So then, when we have such a thing, what's Naira Meroso? Naira Meroso has three conditions to follow. Three conditions. If she's a Naira, between the age of 12 and 12 and a half, she's Meroso, means she's Mekudeshes, but not yet Nisua, meaning she has a ring on her finger, she got the money, but she's not yet under the chuppah with him. She never lived with the husband. Thirdly, she's a Besula. She's still physically a Besula, a virgin. Only then we say, if you follow all these three conditions, we say that she gets skila, she gets a worse oinah. She's starting a marriage life already with nus, it's worse. Wait a second, did you notice what's going on here? Nara Marosa is a girl who is married and she's a Besula. According to you, there is no such thing. According to your Havamina, which you're telling me the Torah is coming to exclude from, yeah, then you don't have such a case. Heichi mashkachaslo. How do you find such a case? And Gemara elaborates. Ide akdish v'hadar boil. If the man, like you claim, you're claiming now a whole new, very interesting idea. That first of all, he has to akdish, he has to give money. The hadar, later on, boil, he had be'ila, they had relations. Be'ulahi. Yeah, she's be'ula. She's married, and at the same time, in order to be married, even the kudeshes, she has to be be'ula. So she's not Nara Marosa. Nara Marosa means a besula Nara Marosa. That's not the story. Ida akdish veloy boil. And if you want to tell me that he was makdish without be'ila, meaning he gave her the ring, he gave her the money, but there was no be'ila, lav klumu. According to what you're saying, it's nothing. It's just nothing. In other words, there is no reality of Nara Marosa. Yeah, there is no such thing. You're telling me that the Torah is coming lapuki to tell me a special pasuk, because otherwise I would have thought that you need two-stage process in order to start anything. You need kesef and beila. That's not true. You see, there's a creature called Nara Maroso, which is by definition, yes, married, yes, mekudeshes, and not beula. She's still physically a Virgo. Amor Rabbanon Kameda Abaye. Answer Rabbanon came, the Talmidei Yeshiva want to come up with an answer to answer that and to defend Rabbi Yochanan. They said that Kameda Abaye in front of Abaye. Mashkachas la. We found a case. We found a very interesting particular case in which she can be married with Be'ila, Bia, and yet she remains a Basula. How could that be? The Orus came on her in an unusual way. Yeah, without going to graphic details, I'm just going to explain it from the Torah. It says in the Torah as follows, and that will be a little bit of we're going to explain a bit. It says about when Khalila, men and men have relations together, yeah. So then it says, yeah, mishkevei isha. Don't be with a man with a mishkevei, with the relations in plural of a woman. What does that mean? Men and men together, they have no kedarka. There is no such thing. They only have shalom kedarka. What two men do together is lo kedarka. That's the only way that they have. So therefore, by default, when the Torah calls that relations mishkevei isha, the Torah basically tells us that if a man and a woman are together in a way of shaloi kedarka, it's called having relations. Even if we leave our sugi alone for a second, let's say a man has relations with his wife Nida. They can't wait to the mikveh, lo aleinu, and they have what relations in Nida, but like kedarka, yeah, he's coming upon her in the opposite way. If so, maybe it's okay. Maybe it's not the end of the world. No, no, no. Says the Torah, having relations shaloi kedarka is tantamount, is equal to having normal relations. It's called bia. What about eshes ish? Same thing. Brother and sister, same thing. They're all compared to a man and man, and we say shaloi kedarka really is relations. Wait a second. So now what the Gemara wants to say is as follows. Let's say the men and the woman, the chosen and the kala, what did they do? I stand by what I say. That there would be a havamina, says Rabbi Yochanan, or whoever defends Rabbi Yochanan, he has to first give her money. Then he has to have bia with her. And only then, after stage A and B took place, only then she's married. That's not the maskana, of course, right? That would be a havamina. How can I have narama orosa? Yes, you can have. You can have a situation where the husband and the wife were together for the first time to create kiddushin sheloi kedarka, and she is still physically a besula. Physically, she's still a virgin. She maintained her virginity, her besula. And mimela, later on, if she's playing the field with other people, then what? She's still called naira, amoroso, besula, and she gets kila. We managed to find such a case, and therefore it's not a silly havamina. It's a good havamina to think that really that you can have kesef and bia in order to have kiddushin. Omer le'Abaye, Abaye is rejecting it completely. Omer le'Abaye, no. Ad kan loy pligi, as we're going to see soon. Abaye is quoting things which we haven't seen yet. Omer le'Abaye, ad kan loy pligi. We only argue. Sorry. Okay. Omer le'Abaye. Ad kan loy pligi Rebbe veRabbanon. Rebbe and Rabbanon, we're going to see soon, they only argue ela be'acher, which means, let's say another person has relations with a woman, shaloi kedarka. Does that make her a non-besula or not? That's going to be a discussion, which we'll see later, I promise. Aval bal, but when it comes to a husband, to create kiddushin and create marriage through bia, divrei hakol, everyone agrees, in bola sheloi kedarka, aso beula, bad news, bad news. If the husband came upon his wife in order to what? Marry her, sheloi kedarka, is she married? Yes. But the bad news, she's also has a status of beula. You have to realize one thing. I'm not sure if we're following. There are two different questions here. Is the action called an action of beila? For, I don't know, a guy and his female neighbor, they have relations shaloi kedarka, a goite and a Jew have shaloi kedarka. Is that called beila? Yes. Yes, everyone agrees to that. That's like men and men together, they teach on kol kula. The question is, does she have a status? Let's say a girl who for the first time in her life has relations, she wants to maintain her virginity, so she says, I'll be smart and I will have shaloi kedarka. Is she called a beula? Does she have the name, the status as a person, beula or besula? Here, that's the discussion, that's the debate. And now Abai says, no, everyone agrees that she's also called beula. When a husband and a wife are together for the first time, even shaloi kedarka, it's considered that she's married, it's considered relationship, and also she's considered as beula. So back to square one. So we still don't have an Moroso case. Again, let's repeat the question. Let's review the question. The question is very simple. I see people a little bit confused and have the feeling, so let's get it very, very clear. It's really easy. It's really, really easy. Rabbi Yochanan, and I'm not going to why, what, where. Rabbi Yochanan wanted to create a thought. Rabbi Yochanan plants a thought in our mind that the Torah wrote an extra pasuk. Why? To teach me Kiddusha Be'ila, because there would be a thought in the Torah, in the mind of Hashem, who wrote the Torah, that maybe Kiddushin consists of two stages, two-stage process. You need two stages, yeah? Two easy steps. One, give the money. Second, do Be'ila. Only then she's your wife. If you gave the money, you gave the ring, nothing. It's only 50%. Now the Gemara is up in arms, and the Gemara's question is really one simple question. Excuse me, Rabbi Yochanan. with all due respect, you're basically telling me that every married woman, when I say married, I mean mekudeshes, moreses, yeah, is what? Is a woman ed be'ila. Okay, that's against the concept of Nara Marasa. Nara Marasa means a girl who's married, who's Morosa, Mekudeshes, and yet she's a Besula. There's no such thing according to you. You want to tell me Shiloh Kedarka? Chuck that out the window. Even that doesn't help. Because even Shiloh Kedarka, she's called Beula. So according to you, there is no Nara Marasa. Such an animal doesn't exist, right? Such a creature doesn't exist. Because if she's Morosa, she's not a Besula. And if she's a Besula, she's not Morosa. Finished. It's like saying, like today, how does everyone do Kiddushin? With a ring. It's like saying she never got a ring or any money equivalent, but she's Morosa. What do you mean? How? Let's take out of the window star and bia, right? Same thing over here. According to you, if every Kiddushin require bia and not money is not enough, how do you have an Ara Morosa? How do you have a Basula who's Mikudeshes? There's no such thing. And clearly the Torah does talk about such a thing. There's a whole parsha stories in Sanhedrin on Nara Marasa. That's basically the question. Now, and the question wasn't yet answered. Now we're going to talk. Now, if I would have written the Gemara, if I would punctuate the Gemara, I would put a little bit of like square brackets over here. Yeah. In other words, this is like going not in a tangent, but we're dealing with a point that we dealt with before. Yeah, in a tangential way, and then we're going back to our sugya. The question is, we mentioned before something about Rebbe and Rabbanan who argue about a girl who had relations shaloi kedarka. She's a married woman, Nara Morosa, not a woman, a married girl, Morosa, and she had relations, unfortunately, willingly, with other people. And the question is she still called Besula or not called Besula, even if it was relation shaloi kedarka? Everything will be clarified over here. Mahi. If you guys are confused, so is the Gemara. Mahi, what's the story you told me about over there? The Tanya. It says in the Brisa as follows. Everything will be very clear and graphic over here. Let me just get it clear. There was a girl. What's her name? Sprinzi. Sprinzi had what? She was Ma'oirosa, whatever Ma'oirosa means. Let's say she got money, or according to Rabbi Yochanan, money and Bia, Lefi the Havamina. Yeah. And then she's Ma'oirosa. How old is she? How old is she? 12 and 15, 2 months, 3 months, between 12 and 12 and a half, right? Is she Basula or Beula? What does the doctor tell you? She is a Basula. We meet all three requirements of Nara Morosa. Baula Asara Anoshim. She's a very active girl. She had relations with 10 men, a minion. Yeah, one after the other. Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, all had relations with her, and she's happy with all of them, right? Yeah, okay. Ba'adain he Basula. And she still physically is a Basula, meaning they all had relations shaloi kedarka, in a way that doesn't affect her virginity. Yeah, kulan beskila. What does it mean? All of them get skila. All 10 men afterwards they get skila, meaning what? She still maintained her status as a Basula, very good, all the time. A minion of men, lo leinu, Rahman litzlon. All of them get skila, meaning. What's a chiddush? Although the first guy had relations with her, and it's called relations, she does maintain the status of a basula. So she has relations 10 times with 10 men. That's what I say, even 10, but she is still a basula because physically her basulim were not affected because she's still shaloi kedarka. So what do you see? Having relations shaloi kedarka maintains still her being basula, right? Unlike her husband, because it's other people, not the husband. Rebbe argues and says, no, Oimerani, I say differently. Arisho in Beskila, the Kulan Bechenek. Number one, Reuven gets skila, but from Shimon onwards, they all get chenek. Why? Because the first one turned her from Besula to Beula. He had relations with a Basula. It was the first relation she ever had in her life, right? And all the others from number 2 to 10, what do they get? Chenek. Why do they get chenek? Because by the first time she lost her status of Basula, she became a Beula. So she's not Nar Marosa. Nar Marosa is only Basula. Number one, change her status, from A to B, from Basula to Beula. Beula is regular chenek of a regular woman. Now, okay, end of brackets. We'll go back here later. Let's not forget the question. The question is very clear. The question of Rabbi Yochanan is, if you, Rabbi Yochanan, claim that every Kiddushin it's not sufficient to have money. You need money and bia, right? So every Nara Mekudeshes, Marosa, call it whatever you want, or every woman who's Mekudeshes had bia, so there's no besula who's mekudeshes. There's no such creature, right? It's like a nice Hamas guy. There's a nice guy in Hamas, nice or Hamas. I don't know. Yeah, unless what in English they think otherwise in London or Paris. We don't. Yeah, Omar of Nachman, right? Omar of Nachman Ritzcha comes the answer. Meshkachas la. We can find such a case. Kigon shekidsho b'shtar mazel tov. How did you forget about a good old friend shtar? Shtar. When it comes to money, I could have said money is never enough. You need money and bia. Money and bia work together. But shtar, it doesn't say kiikach regarding shtar. Why did we think we need both kesef and bia? That's how we translate the pasuk to English. Ki yikach ish isha ubala. You take her with money, kicha kicha, money, 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 kicha kicha. This week's pasha, right? He lokeach, right? Nsati kesef the kach mimeni in Ephron, and relations. But shtar is standing in the corner. Shtar, what's the source of shtar? The woman can miskadeshes with shtar. Shtar is not incumbent upon bia. Does not depend on bia. Continues the Gemara to prove. Ho'il v'goymer u'moitzi, goymer u'machnis. Very good. Since the shtar alone, goymer means shtar by itself, without any bia, obviously is moitzi, meaning it gets her out of the marriage into freedom when she gets divorced. So to goymer u'machnis, the shtar too is goymer, meaning by itself alone, it's machnis, meaning the shtar alone gets her into the marriage. Explains the Ritva something interesting. Listen to the Ritva. The Ritva says in the Havamina, the Gemara thought that shtar also needs bia. Because we thought shtar is like kesef. It's like an example. Kesef needs bia, shtar also needs bia. Answers the Gemara, no. Shtar doesn't need bia because shtar, just like shtar, works independently when she gets divorced. And obviously, when she gets divorced, we said she's not having relations with her husband, right? They're getting divorced. It's just shtar alone. So to shtar alone works by itself. So Lemai says, so far so good. Let's summarize. We need a quick summary, and then everyone will be happy. Imagine now, open two. Rabbi Yochanan is now saved. Rabbi Yochanan is happy. Rabbi Yochanan is good, and Rabbi is good. Now imagine in your mind's eyes there are two boxes, open two windows in the computer in your mind. Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi. Rabbi and Rabbi Yochanan. According to Rabbi, what is the source of a woman being miskadeshes bebia? According to Rabbi, kiikach ish isha u beolo. That's the source. Yeah? Okay? Kiikach ish isha u beolo. That's the source. He's not concerned about the kiikach. Yeah? He's not concerned. That would have thought money and bia. He says no. Kiikach is kiikach. U beolo is beolo. To tell you what? Bia. Now, Rabbi Yochanan was not happy with that. Rabbi Yochanan says no. Kiikach ish isha beolo is very misleading. I would have mistakenly thought you need kesef and bia. That's why Rabbi Yochanan found a different source. What's the different source of Rabbi Yochanan? Be'ulas Baal. Be'ulas Baal means the way a married woman is defined in the Torah, is described in the Torah, is one who had relations with her Baal, and that's how he became her Baal, alone without money. Now we're going to play the crisscross, what each one would say about the other opinion source. Rabbi Yochanan, frag the Gemara, excuse me, 1 minute. Fragt the Gemara, Rabbi Yochanan, hayu be'olo my ovidle. According to Rabbi Yochanan, what would he do with the word ube'olo, right? I told you that before. That's a clear question. Because according to Rabbi Yochanan, how do we know that a woman is becoming mikudeshes bebia, be'ulas bal, right? And how do we know that she's kesef? Kiikach. The word be'olo, kiikach ish isha, ube'olo is extra. What do you do with the word ube'olo? Answers the Gemara, Ahumi Baile, that we need for different halacha. What's the halacha telling you? Zu niknes bebia, the ein ama ivriya niknes bebia. When it says kiikach ish isha be'olo, you have to be boil her, means a woman, it can be nikna bebia alone. And by the way, of course, according to Yochanan Maskono, bia alone works and money alone works. Each one separately. You don't need both. Yeah. Be'olo tells you, I would have thought maybe an Ama Ivriya, a Jewish maidservant, a girl, maybe you can be coining her through with Bia also. Kamash Malan, you don't. Be'olo, only the woman gets Bebia, Niknes Bebia, and not the Ama. Why would have I thought that an Ama is Niknes Bebia? We already established Ama is there to clean the floor and wash the dishes and change the baby. Why bia? Yes, 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 says the Gemara. Sal kedaita chamina. I would have thought, Tasi, the kal v'chomer miyavama. You should bring her, the Ama, kal v'chomer from Yavama. What's Yavama all about? Uma Yavama she'ein niknes bekesef, niknes bebia. A Yavama cannot be acquired with kesef. Remember that? We always know that. A Yavama, once her husband dies, then the only thing that can happen to her, midoraisa, not midorabanan, midoraisa, two things. Either she takes off his shoe, or they have relations and she's his wife. So money is not a way to acquire a Yavama. If you give her money, midoraisa, it doesn't make a difference. And yet, niknes bebia. If the couple, the brother-in-law and sister-in-law, have relations, that does the trick alone. That's really the only way midoraisa she should become his legal wife. So you see that although money doesn't work, bia does work. Zu sheniknes bekesef, the ama ivriya, which clearly is acquired with money, mefoshen the Torah, and odin sheniknes bebia, yeah, clearly she should be nikne bebia. There would be half a minute to say, although it's not logical, that's a kal v'chomer. Maybe enachinami, an ama ivriya can be niknes bebia. If kesef, all the more so bia. Zok the Gemara, no. The Gemara now wants to fight and combat that kal v'chomer. Mali yavama shekins kukavoy medis. Excuse me, Yavama is not like an Ama. Yavama, you know why she's niknes bebia? Because she's kukavoy medis, as I told you many times. When a Yavama, when her husband dies, that very second, she's already, to say very coarse language, she's half married to the brother already. Zika. There's an automatic connection of marriage, not complete marriage. It's like a dotted line, not a straight line, between her and the brother-in-law. Zika. All you need to do is finishing off of bia. So Yavam, of course, she can be acquired by bia, but an ama has nothing to do with her master. Who says that an ama should be niknes bebia? No way. Answers the Gemara. You know why you still need the pasuk to exclude ama ivriya from bia? Sal kedaita chamina. Now we're coming to explain why. Yes, in spite of what we just said, there is still a thought that an ama ivriya should be niknes bebia. Why? Since it says in the Pasuk, Im acheres yikach loy. The Pasuk in Mishpatim says like this. You know that every Ama Ivriya in potential can get married with the Odin, right? It's called Yi'ud. And I noticed you guys knew about it even before we started, yeah? With the money that was originally given to the master for the Ama Ivriya, and the idea was just to wash dishes and clean the floor. But Lamaisa, if it develops that he wants to marry her or his son wants to marry her, he does something called Yi'ud. It's Kiddushin, and the money that was originally given to him for slavery is now automatically changed into money of Kiddushin. And there it says, if he takes another wife on top of her, besides her, he has to make sure she doesn't lose her rights of She'er Ksus Ve'oino. The three famous obligations of a man to a woman are learned from here. Yeah? She'er Ksus Ve'oino Soligra. So you have an Ama Ivriya who became your wife, treat her nicely. Don't take another star of a woman and forget about the Ama Ivriya. In any event, what does it say? If you take another woman, a regular woman, Hekisha hakosuv le'acheres, we see that the Ama Ivriya and a regular woman who's not an Ama, who's the Choshev Balaboste, yeah, we see that they're compared. And therefore, I would have thought, compared? They're juxtaposed together? Ooh, I would have thought, ma acheres miknei bebia, af Ama Ivriya miknei bebia. I would have thought, listen, just like Mrs. Acheres, the other one mentioned in the Torah, or the other woman, which is a regular woman, she's acquired by bia. Maybe an Amma can also acquire by bia. Although it's not, doesn't make sense why bia is connected, but maybe that's a hekesh. Kamash malan. Basically, all we got here is one very good point, and that is, what did Rabbi Yochanan do with the pasuk ubeolo? Again, there are three psukim. Ki kach ish isha tells you what? Money. Ubeolo, according to Rabbi Yochanan, tells you not that the woman is miskadish bebia. Then he knows of somewhere else. Beolo tells you only she's miskadish bebia, and Ama Ivriya is not miskadish bebia. And Beulas Baal is teaching you that a woman is miskadish bebia. Now, ping pong again. The Rebbe, according to Rebbe, we learned the pasuk hikach ish isha ubeolo to tell you that a woman is miskadish bebia. So how does he know this svara? Which svara? How does he know the halacha that an Ama Ivriya is not miskadish bebia? How does he know that? In Ken, he answers like this: Lichtav Rachmone uboal. The Torah could have written Kikach ishisho uboal. I know he has relations with her and not with anybody else. He just married her. My ubeol lo. Why does the Torah add the letter hey? Boel her. He was boel her. Shmami no talti. From one word you can learn two halachos. Uboal means a woman is miskadish bebia. Ubeol lo tells you her only she's miskadish bebia, and amevria is not miskadish bebia. Very nice. Now comes another opinion here to the story, but that's going to be very short-lived. Ulerova. What does Rova say? Asks the Gemara the following question. In Daf Nun Aleph, I'm giving a small introduction. In Daf Nun Aleph Amud Aleph, we're going to see at some point, Bezos Hashem, that there's a machlokes Abai and Rove. Abai and Rove argue about a very interesting case, and that is what happens when a man marries a woman, and halachically, they are never ever, right from the beginning of the marriage, right from putting the ring on her finger, he couldn't have touched her halachically. He's not allowed to have relations with her. Soon we're going to see what the case is. Rava says such marriage is not marriage b'chlal. You don't even have to give a get, nothing started. And Abaye says it is considered as marriage, even though for technically they can't be together. And it's one of the 6 cases in Shas in which Abaye halacha is like Abaye. Yeah? What is the story? Rava says as follows. Bar Ahina asbarli. There was an Amoira called Bar Ahina, and he explained to me. What did he tell me? Kikach ish isha ubeolo. A man has to take a wife and have relations with her, have bia beila with her. What does that teach me? Listen to the following: Kiddushin hamesurin lebia, Kiddushin that can continue, can be given over, can be continued into bia havu Kiddushin. They're called kosher Kiddushin. Kiddushin she'en mesurin lebia lo havu Kiddushin, which means as follows. Let's say Kiddushin can never be consummated. Such Kiddushin are not Kiddushin. I'll tell you the case. Let's say if a guy comes, I don't know if he's trying to be funny or idiotic, or I don't know what he thinks exactly. He comes to 2 sisters and he tells them, not because he's being confused, we're confused, yeah? He comes to 2 sisters and he says, one of you is Mekudesh to me. I don't mind which one, but I definitely want one of you, hooray, is given. I don't know exactly how he gave the ring. He gave rings to 2 of them, let's say, and he clearly says, I want one of you to be my wife. Hooray, one of you should be Mekudeshes to me. Okay, so now, let's say you do it to women that are not related, not sisters, then be'etzem, one of them is married to you, one of them is not married to you. Yeah, let's say to everyone, whichever one of you should be married to me. We'll decide who. Now, if it's 2 women, 2 regular women, Rochel and Sprinza, not related, then let's say one of them became his wife, because he wants one of them to be his wife. So let's say we somehow decided that one of them is finally the wife, right? Okay. Then we say, but we don't know which one is the wife, which one is not the wife. We're confused now. Which one's the wife, which one is not the one? Let's say now he has relations. The first night he has relations with one of them. So it's 50-50. Either he has relations with his wife, or has relations with a stranger who's not married to. Oh, to have relations outside marriage is really, really not nice, really not good. It's really also, it's not an Isur Chorus. It's not an Isur Chorus. So, Hachiel, worst comes to worst, either you're having relations with your wife, maybe she's the one who accepted the Kiddushin, or you're having relations with a girl who's someone, living in sin. So at the end of the day, but the Kiddushin may apply. But if it's 2 sisters, then you can't begin to touch any of them. Why? Because either 50% you're having relations with your wife, or you're having relations with your wife's sister, and that's an Isur Chorus. Ooh, There's a 50% Isur Chorus. Stop right there. Therefore, those Kiddushin, which we don't know which one's the wife, which one isn't, so one of them is the wife, one of them is an Isur Chorus. And that's how the marriage started. It's not like he married one girl and she has a twin sister. Sounds like a very interesting story, eh? And after a month, a twin sister came and he didn't know. No, right from the beginning, there was confusion, yeah? Under the chuppah, there stood both of them. And therefore, such marriage can never be consummated because you don't know if the one you're touching now is her or an Isur Chorus. Yeah, red alert. And therefore, according to Abai, the Kiddushin is Kiddushin, but you have to divorce, give get to both of them for whichever reason. Abai is not in the story now. Rava says no. Rava says, look, The pasuk here, the same pasuk that Rebbe and Rabbi Yochanan argue about, Rava now has a third thing to say about it. Rava says, look what it says. Ki yikach ish isha ube'olo. A man can only take a woman if later on he can be boil her. Oh, if so, according to Rava, the pasuk is taken. According to Rava now, how would he learn the other two halachos? When we play musical chairs, the same pasuk ube'olo, the same word ube'olo, was used already for two things. One, according to Rabbi, to tell me that she's mekudeshes, and also to tell me that an ama, a maidservant, is not mekudeshes bebia, right? And according to Rabbi Yochanan, also, it's coming to tell me that the maidservant is not mekudeshes. Now, Rav is coming to add a third thing. A third thing is coming to tell me what? Ube'ola comes to tell you a third thing, that every marriage has to be potentially consummated. So how can you put three things in one pasuk? Says the Torah, yes I can. Yes I can. In ken nichtov ko oy be'ola. If the Torah wants to tell me otherwise, not like Rove, then the Torah could have said Kikach ish isha oy be'ola, because we agree that you don't need both kesef and be'ila. You need either or. So why can the Torah says it's true? Actually makes a lot of sense. Kikach ish isha, money is one option. Oy be'ola, or bia my u be'ola. Why did the Torah add the letter vav? Shma mina kulu. Wow. According to Rava, there are three halachos. Three halachos we learn from one word. U be'ol ho. From the vav, from the actual verb bo'al, and from the hey. We learn three halachos. One halacha we learn that only marriage that's Mosra Labia can be marriage. The second bo'al. Okay. Apologies for the unexpected interruption. Let's summarize. According to Rava, we learn three things from the same pasuk. U be'ol ho. U be'ol lo. Ube'ol tells me three things. First of all, we learn. So again, everyone learns that this pasuk comes to exclude Ama Ivriya, from Kiddushi Bia. Kiddushi Bia don't apply to Ama Ivriya, not Kiddushi. Kinyan Bia doesn't work to Ama Ivriya. What about the fact that a woman gets married through Bia? Machlokas Rabbi Yochanan and Rebbe, do we learn it from Ube'ola? Or according to Rabbi Yochanan, we learn it from Be'olas Baal, right? And there's a third thing you learn from here, and that is the halacha of that marriage can only be marriage if they are potentially consummatable, and that is according to Rava from the letter U be'olo. But everyone agrees that Kiddush Bia apply. Let's just summarize. Let's go back to the original idea. According to Rebbe, how do you know that a woman gets married through Bia? According to Rebbe, from Ube'olo. According to Rabbi Yochanan, from Be'ulas Baal. That's the main machlokas. Yes. I'm listening. Yeah.
Get married under the chuppah. And
Now, frag the Gemara, the obvious question, the Rebbe, according to Rebbe, I Be'ulas Baal, my Ovidle. According to Rebbe, from the Pasuk, Hikach Isha Shubaola, what did we learn? An Isha gets married with Bia. So Be'ulas Baal, according to him, is extra. According to Rabbi Yochanan, Be'ulas Baal was a source for marriage with Bia. According to Rebbe, what does it do with the Pasuk Be'ulas Baal? Answers the Gemara, and this is going back to this interesting story of the girl that had relations with many men. Hi, that pasuk mibayale, you need it for something else. It tells you the following: Baal oise beula shelo kedarka. If a man and a woman, a legal husband, is with his wife, and he, for the first time they had relations, he did it shelo kedarka, right? Then what happens then? He makes her beula. She now has a status of a beula regarding, for example, Nara Morosa. Yeah, she's called beula. The acher oisa beula shelo kedarka. Oh, but shenken, if a different person comes on her, on a woman, let's say an Ashes Ish, even, or not always Ashes Ish. We'll see two cases. If a strange man who's not a legal husband has relations with a girl shelo kedarka, he does not make her beula. Again, don't confuse. The act is a sexual act. It's called a halachic act. man, woman, I don't know, Eshes Ish, Goya, Nida, I don't know, imagine on sister, whatever, sister-in-law, Shaloi Kedaka is called relations, Chav Kores, Chav Misa, Yorgo Baliavo. Mashenkin, to call her a Be'ula is not so simple. Physically, what is she? She's a Basula, right? So says Rebbe, Be'ula's Baal comes to tell you she's only called Be'ula. She has the halachic status, halachic / medical status of Be'ula if the Baal had Shaloi Kedarka. Other men who have relations Shaloi Kedarka, she's still called a Basula, and we're going to see various nafkaminas from that. Is that true? Are you sure? Does Rebbe really have that svara that a strange man, another man, not her husband, who's with her and has relations with her, she still remains a besula? Is that so? Tanya, we saw a brisa a few minutes ago that says just the opposite. I'm sorry. It's the same good old, she's actually not so old, she's young. The Nara Marosa, what's her story? She's between 12 and a half. She's Marosa, and she's a besula. Then, following these three conditions, then she gets skila, which is worse than chenek, and so are all her friends. Baula sora noshim, va'adaini besula. 10 men came on her, as you said, a ganze minyan, one after the other, and they all had relations with her, and she's still physically, medically a besula, because they all had shalok kedarka. Kulam beskila, says Tanakama, they're still all, why are they all getting skila? Because her status is still besula. Only if you have relations with the Besula, you get skila, not with the Beula, right? Yeah. Rebbe Oimer. Rebbe comes and argues and says just the opposite from what we said. Rebbe says, Oimer Ani, I say not like you. I don't think so. Arishon beskila, bekulam bechenek. Did you hear what he said? He said the first one gets skila, and then the rest are bechenek. Why? What happened? It was late at night. Why did they get chenek? What's the difference? The difference is that the first one changed her from Besula to Beula. And since they already had relations with the Beula, they get chenek. Even though physically she is as Besula as anything, we do call her Beula. So it's against what we said. So you see the Rebbe himself believes, that a Beula, it does become Beula through other people's relations, not just through her husband. Oh, my Rebbe Zera, there are two, now we have to divert, there are two different nafkaminas if a girl is Besula or Beula. Moide Rebbe Linyan Knas, the kula mishalmi, which means, let's say a girl is not yet married, and now a man has relations with her, and he made her into a non-virgin, into a beula. Now he has to pay her big money. If it's oines, he has to pay her, right, 50 shekel. By the way, you know how much is 50 shekel? I don't know, but you should know that the field of Yirmiyahu we spoke about yesterday, Yirmiyahu bought an entire field in Eretz Yisrael, an apartment in Yerushalayim, for 17 shekels. So if 17 shekels is the price of a nice field, then 50 shekels is a lot of money. So the 50 shekels that the rapist has to pay is a lot of money. Don't think it's 50 shekels, which is barely egg and milk nowadays, right, 3 fields. It's a lot of money that he has to pay the victim. In any event, says Rabbi Zera, Rabbi agrees, when it comes to knas, they all have to pay, which means, let's say a girl was not married, and now there are 10 people who were me'anes her like a gang rape, one after the other. So now, but they did it how? Shaloi kedarka. She maintains the status of Besula, and each one of them has to pay her, like having relations with the Besula, 50 shekels. So you see, the Rebbe does agree, when it comes to Knas, she calls a Besula through and through. She's still, only if the husband did it, she's a Beula. But others, she's a Besula through and through. Only when it comes to death, to killing them, then we say that she's called Beula after the first time. Why? Why is that so? Frag the Gemara. By the way, I saw Toyses in the Ksubas Lametes Amud Aleph. He says, really, a Naira, a girl who had relations, Shaloi Kedarka, is called a Besula. There are other nafkaminas as well for other things, for kohen, for things. She's called a Besula, right? So conceptually, everyone agrees that a girl who maintained her physical besulim, her virginity, she's a Besula. Rebbe is coming to tell me something, an exception to the rule, right? That when it comes to killing, then there's a different story here. Only Rebbe, regarding killing the men, he says those men, the first one gets kila, and then she's considered a beula only for killing, and the other ones that get chenek. What's the difference? Why is death all of a sudden different to all other areas of halacha? And by that we say that she became a beula. And says the Gemara, shiny hosam. Over there, there's a special pasuk. It's different. It says in the pasuk, it says about a man who rapes a married woman. The man alone, he or even a nair or whatever, a man alone, he alone should die. Of course, he alone should die because she's miskana, she's raped. It's an oinus. Elamai levado comes to tell me that only the first one gets the skila and all the rest are getting chenek. It's a Torah's way of saying again. So they only have again. So it's very very simple. Really simple. Let's get out of the forest and rethink. Really, a naira besula which had relations shaloi kedarka, not in the marriage. Yeah, whether regarding skila, but everything else, according to most people, she's still a besula. Only Rebbe, and only regarding death, he says that she's called a beula, and the second guy that has relations with her after she was shaloi kedarka once with the first guy, the first gets skila, the second one gets chenek because she became a beula. The Rabbanon, I levado imay avdile. Oh, according to Rabbanon, that they say no. They say they all get skila, all 10 men, because they say that shaloi kedarko stays besula even for death. What do they do with the pasuk levadoi? What do they do with the words levadoi? Alone. What's coming to tell me levadoi? Answers the Gemara something very interesting, which was on Kiddushin, in El Sanhedrin. It's coming to tell me the following. Look at the Tanya. Umei sugam shnehem. Whenever it says that a couple, whenever you have an adulterous couple, or couple of sinners, men and women, they 19% of the cases they always get the same punishment, right? Yeah, but it comes to tell you, an shiyushovin ke'echad. Divrei Rabbi Yoshia. What does it mean shiyushnem shovim ke'echad? It means like this. Let me ask you a question. From what age does let's start it nice and slow. From what age do you have to keep yichud, a boy and a girl? From which age does the boy have to be careful of yichud? Not being alone with a woman? 9. Why not 13? It's a nice havamina, Yosef, and I'm not being sarcastic. Why 9 and not 13? 13, you had the mitzvahs. 9 is roy lebia. Physically, the boy's body is at the age of 9. There is something going on. He can't have children, but yes, I'm not going to details. That he is with a woman, something can happen. And yichud has to do with that, nothing to do with mitzvahs, avers, yetzer hara, stop all the hashkafa over here. Simply, he's roi lebia. Oh, so let's say a boy of 10, 11, 12 is quite developed and he's a good-looking and naughty boy. And that 12 years old boy who has ability to have bia halachically, however, is not chayiv mitzvahs v'averos, he has relations with a 15 years old. I'm not sure it's science fiction nowadays, by the way. A 12 years old boy has relations with a 15 years old married woman. That's not so common today. Yeah. So what? That's a bit confusing. She's a married woman. She is liable for whatever she does, but he's not. Absolutely. Says the Torah, Umesu gam shnehem, that tells you that in that case, yeah, in that case, if a godol and a ktana have relations, then both of them are potur. In other words, that's not the halacha, but that's what he says. In other words, let's say the married woman is 15, but the boy, you can't kill the boy, he's below bar mitzvah, right? And even though the girl is bas chiyuv, but the boy is not ben chiyuv, both are exempt, or the other way around. Yeah, let's say a man of 15 has relations with a married girl of 11 and a half. You don't kill any of them. That's what Rabbi Yosha says. Rabbi Yonasan Oimer, and that's halacha. Umei seisha shoshochav ima levadoi. No. You know what levado is coming to tell me? Sometimes only one of the adulterers, one of the sinner, dies alone without the other party. When is that? When one party is underage, when one party is halachically minor, then you only kill the major and not the minor. An Eishetish of 20, she had some yetzer hara for a 12 years old boy, yeah, nice and handsome, and she's 20. She'll die because she's an Eishetish above her bes mitzvah, and you don't do anything to him. I send him to a psychologist maybe, yeah, but you don't do anything to him because levadoi. That's what you did with the word levadoi. Nah, the final blow of Rabbi Yochanan, Hai Svar Binole. According to Rabbi Yochanan, how does Rabbi Yochanan learn what Rebbe learned from Beulas Baal? How does Rabbi Yochanan know from Beulas Baal? In other words, we learned from Beulas Baal what? That regularly a woman, in most cases, in 90% of the cases, a woman that has relations from, Loi Kedarka, from a different place, she remains Besula. Except for a husband, if a husband had relations with his wife like that, she became a Beula. A Rabbi Yochanan, where does he know that from? He used up the Pasuk Beulas Baal to tell me Kiddush Bia. So how does he know the concept of Shaloi Kedarka? How does he know that? And says the Gemara, Im ken yichtov kro Beulas Ish. If so, the Torah could have written Beula of an Ish, a man. My Beulas Baal. Ish means any man. Baal means a husband. Shma minotarti. Since the Torah's choice of word was Beulas Baal and not Beulas Ish, what does Beulas Ish mean? Beula of a man, any man. The milkman, the I don't know, the plumber, the electrician, whoever comes to her house, does her makes her non besula. Yeah, there will be Beulas Ish. Beulas Baal comes to tell you no. What's Beulas Baal? It's coming to tell me only Beulas Baal. The Baal makes her what? Non besula, a Beula, and not other people. And Tati, besides the fact it also teaches you, like I say, Rabbi Yochanan all along, that this is a makor for Kiddush Bia. Wow, you guys are amazing. And we even have time. Question quickly, or we continue? Watch it again. Iboilu. Now comes even more interesting stuff. At what stage of a Bia, let me give you a small introduction. Whenever we say people have relations, yeah, intimate relations, and then it's chiyuv kores. What happens when an ish has relations? She can't be with her husband anymore. He has to divorce her. What's called relations? I don't want to get too graphic, but let's say the kissed and hugged and got very serious. I'm not going to details, but there was no penetration. B'chlal. Yeah, he didn't. There was no real. It's a very, very, very bad thing, but it's not called having relations. It's not chiyuv kores and it's not chiyuv misa, and she can still go back to her husband. Although it's terrible, but it's not called ma'aseh. Yeah, I don't know. Goyim have all kinds of other ideas. We don't care about the goyim thing. What about if there was a little bit of bia, but not full bia? Let's say there was, corona is not just the name of a disease. You know, it's the other meaning of corona. So let's say there was something with the corona, but nothing else, and then he went out, in and out, without the entire aver being inside. Is that called relations? Yes. In most cases, we learn from the word no. What does it say? What's the word in the pasuk about nida? Mekorahera. It says when nida, if the husband is hera means he just had a little bit of penetration. I'm not going. There are even questions about that. I'm not going there now. It's called already having relations, and it's usher and it's really chiyuv. That's mamish called having relations. Usually, when it comes to nida, when it comes to ish, with a bit of penetration, even of some of the aver inside, that's already bad enough. It's considered to be what? Having relations. It's usher, it's chorus, it's nus, usher, v'chule. Frek de Gemara, iboilu. When it comes to when a man wants to be mekadesh his wife through bia, iboilu, they have a question. Tchilas bia koina or soif bia koina? Do we say that the beginning of the bia, when the aver is just a little bit inside, already that called acquiring the woman and she's his wife? Or soif bia koina? Soif bia, according to some, means when the aver is totally inside, even before he finished the whole maisa. Yeah? Do we say the aver is partially inside, a little bit, or the entire aver is inside? At what stage is she considered to be his wife? Who cares? Says the Gemara, the atu nafkaminas. Nafkamina, number one. Don't laugh. One nafkamina, kigoin, sheherabo. Let's say there was haro. Let's say there was beginning of penetration, a little bit. And then uposh toyodo, she extended her hand, the kibla kiddushin me'acher. She received kiddushin from another man while being with one man, right? Okay. And then he finished the bia. So now, or he didn't, yeah? So then what happens? If you say she's mekudeshes from the beginning of the bia of the hara, then her receiving money from the other guy is useless. She is already an eshesish to Reuven. She's in bed with Reuven. And she's taking the money from Shimon for kiddushin. So, but if Lamaisa the beginning is already Reuven's wife, then Shimon has nothing to do there. You can't be Mekadesh and Eshesish. But if you say the end of the Bia is what does the story, then receiving the money from Shimon preceded and happened chronologically before the Bia of Reuven, because only the end of the Bia of Reuven does the trick. So here's an nafkamina. Inami, a very theoretical nafkamina, I hope, but a nafkamina. Inami, another nafkamina. Lekohen Godol, the kakani besula bebia. A Kohen Godol is not allowed to marry a beula, whether his beula or other people beula. Not a Kohen Hedyot. Kohen Hedyot can marry many women, just not a grusha, a chalutza, a chalolo. But a Kohen Godol can only marry a besula, mamish besula. So now a Kohen Gadol, can a Kohen Gadol acquire a woman with Bia, yes or no? What's the question? If you say the beginning of the Bia is what does the Kinyan, yeah, then very good. A Kohen Gadol got a girl who she's completely Besula. He's the first man she's with, and right at the beginning of the Bia, the beginning of the little bit of a spitzkale something coming in, already she's his wife. Mazel tov, very good. But if you say the end of the Bia is what does the Kinyan, then it's bad. You know why? There was a reason why I told you what I told you before. I wasn't just trying to make you, interested. What did we say? Regarding all other areas of halacha, the beginning of a harav, a penetration, a tiny bit, is considered to be Bia. So wait a second. Let's go with a slow motion camera. The Kohen Gadol at the beginning, she wasn't yet his wife. If you say that Soif Bia Koino, the end of the Bia makes her his wife, but the beginning of the Bia already makes her non-Besula, makes her girl who had relations, then a Kohen Gadol can never marry with Bia, through Bia. Again, because if you say that the beginning of the Bia is Koina, Givaldig, the beginning of the Kinyan is also the Bia, you Koina, the Bia. But if you want to tell me that the Gemar Bia Koino, the end of the Bia is Koino, so beforehand he had relations with her, because the Hara is called having relations, and now Mr. Kohen Gadol is really now marrying, but the Soif Bia, a girl who's a non-Besula because of the beginning of the Bia. It was he himself, doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make a difference, it's him. He's marrying a girl who's a non-Besula, even though it's because of his own Aver and his own Maisa. And therefore, if that's the truth, then you say a Kohen Gadol cannot marry with Bia. It's a very short sugya. The two dots are coming now. I'll hear your question soon. Call a boil. A person who's a boil, daito el gmar bia. When a person wants to be boil in a good way, obviously he wants to finish the entire bia. He wants to have a proper bia, not just to start and boom out. And therefore, mistome, the gmar bia is what makes a difference. And mimela, the gmar bia is what does the kinyan and not the beginning. And therefore, what? And therefore, two nafkaminas. The end of the bia does the kinyan. So if he started coming in, then she got kiddushin from another guy. The other guy is first, because the one who's with her with the bia, only at the end he'll be mekadosh her. So the guy who she got the money from, he'll be the winner. He won the race, right? And then, by the way, she's mukudeshes to Shimon. She's not allowed to continue with Reuven. There'll be a very big avera. Hasish. And what about Kohen Gadol? Same thing. A Kohen Gadol is not allowed to marry Bebia, to be Mekadesh Bebia. Why? Because at the beginning, she's a Beula already, but just having a bit of something. And when is he really Koina her? Afterwards, at the end of the Bia. So you're now Koina, you Mekadesh, and non Besula. A Beula, that cannot work for Kohen Gadol. Very, very nice. Beautiful. Shkoich. Can revise the Shiur, review. Questions are welcome now for the next 5 minutes. Atzlocha brachot to everybody here, everyone in Avos Shalom, everyone in Torah Anytime, everyone in YouTube, everyone in the Jewish world. May all the captured people be back home very, very speedily, safely, and all the soldiers, b'nitzochen godel. Yes.